At this point, no one is sure whether or not the Vancouver Art Gallery will eventually vacate its current digs in the former courthouse, but if the Vancouver Art Gallery moves to Georgia and Cambie, there is a concert hall plan afloat in our city that could keep the current art gallery space and surrounding area vibrant. It is my pleasure to welcome acclaimed architect Bing Thom and acclaimed arts and culture enthusiast Chris Wootten to Studio 4 to tell us more about that. And when I say the Vancouver Art Gallery will move to Georgia and Cambie, or could, I don't mean the building.
Correct.
Correct.
I just mean
just the contents and the pictures. So, how did you two meet the first time? How did this come about?
Well, we've been working, there's been a movement for a long time for a concert hall. And since about 1993, when it was supposed to be right down on this site, the Cole Harbour Arts Complex was formed, and that was going to be part of Marathon Realty, and it was going to be right on this site. And,
where we are?
Where we are, exactly.
Really?
Trade and Convention Center, to be more precise.
Okay.
And when the Trade and Convention Center decided they wanted to be there, they moved the concert hall that was then planned for that site back into the city. And it remained for several years before the decision was made to go for the old bus depot site. And that's where this story actually begins, when in 2008 there was a plan to put the art gallery and the concert hall on the old bus depot site. Okay,
and that dream remains, as you know so well, to move it from its current building, which was the old courthouse, to the lot where the bus depot is now, right? And have this iconic structure, perhaps designed by you, Mr. Thom.
Maybe.
Maybe. have you bid on it yet, or they're not that far?
Oh no, I think they're probably going to go out for a request for proposal, and their word is they may have an architectural competition for the art gallery.
Yes.
And the story began because the site may not be big enough for both the concert hall and an art gallery. The timing may not work out because it's a substantial amount of money for both institutions. So it got quite complicated.
And we still have to decide whether or not this is going to happen. When I say we, they have to raise the money, and then doesn't City Council have to weigh in, and there's a long way to go before the contents of the art gallery.
Well, that's what's happening now, is the city is going out into a public consultation process to decide whether the art gallery should relocate.
Sure.
And if they do, then we've got the perfect solution for what would happen on the current site.
See, I like nothing better than a perfect solution. That's excellent. How does it begin, and what is the solution? Should we start with you, Mr. Thom?
Well, it began because we went to City Council, I guess now, what, 5 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and really discussing what would happen to the bus station site and how both institutions would fit. It became very obvious that it was going to be very difficult. And I was appearing before council on my own, saying, well, you can't talk about what happens to the bus station site without talking about what happened to the old building, the existing Robson Square and the courthouse. And on the way out, and talking to Chris, I then said, well, maybe we can put the concert hall underneath the plaza in front of the courthouse. And they looked at me incredulously and said, well, do you think it would work? I said, well, maybe it will. And so in 3 weeks, I drew something up. And I think it'll work.
And knowing you, you didn't just draw something up. You made some phone calls, and you talked to some sound people, I'm sure, and I know you talked to Bramwell Tovey and others who would perhaps use the space. What will it look like?
Well, before we go to that,
okay, I'm already building.
Bing talked to one of the world's great acousticians, and Bing had been doing his homework previously, and he had made contact with Yasu Toyota 2 or 3 years before and visited one of his halls in Denmark. And
did he do Disney Hall?
He did Disney Hall.
Okay.
So Bing had made friends with Toyota, and he was able to call Toyota and very quickly determine this was feasible.
And by feasible, you mean if the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra plays there, or a choir sings, or a top opera star performs, it will sound phenomenal, even though it's under the ground.
In fact, it'll sound better because it's under the ground.
Really?
Because acoustically, nothing better than burying something for sound. Because when it's above ground, you get all the vibration, you get all the sound from the airplanes. When you bury it, it's extremely quiet. I had met Toyota because I've been doing performing arts centers in Washington, D.C. I've been doing some in China. And so it was an occasion to talk to him and ask for his opinion. The critical part, of course, is what we call the volume, the volumetrics. When you design a concert hall, it's like a violin. You want to make sure it's got the right amount of volume for the sound. And so I had to determine whether or not, given the space that we had, would this violin fit?
And will the people fit? And if so, how many people would fit?
Well, it's about 2,000 seats, 1,950.
Really? So it's not just a small little theater, it's a
no.
major event.
But the other thing about it that's really interesting is it's called the vineyard design. And that means that the orchestra is sitting almost in the center of the room with the audience in stages around it. And it makes it much more intimate. That's what's the genius behind Disney Hall. So we're getting a hall that's not only smaller than, say, the Orpheum, which is 2,700 seats, but much more intimate.
So it's theater in the round, in a sense.
It's like a flower, you know, with the petals all the way around and the center in the middle. So for the audience, they love it because you see everybody. If you go to the QE Theater or the Chan Center, if you're up in the balcony, you can't see the people down below. People down below can't see people above. But in a vineyard sitting, you're all together. Everybody see everybody.
Yes, and if the cello makes a mistake.
Oh, you hear it.
You hear it.
You hear it.
That's for sure.
And you can also watch. And there's
That's
nothing
right.
more fascinating than watch somebody play a string instrument.
Well, the facial interaction in a vineyard is very, very interesting audience experience.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, will it simply be a concert hall, or will there be a bar and a restaurant around it, or do you have to go back upstairs for that?
Well, the concept that I have is that we take the lower 2 floors of the existing art gallery or courthouse building, turn that into a giant lobby. It'd be a city room. I see it as a city room. Unlike other concert venues, this lobby will be open all the time. So you will go down for the concert. When you go down, you get the tickets at the door when you go down. But at intermission, you're upstairs with everybody else. So even if you're not going to the concert, the bar, the restaurant, everything is open to everybody.
How fabulous. And can you hear the odd sound coming out of the underneath, or probably not?
No.
Doors closed.
Doors
Yeah,
closed.
that's right. And we're a long way away from the Canada line, so there's no underground subway interference. That was another thing we had to consider.
Sure. And how far down are you going?
Good point. We had to figure that out too. We had.
Well,
what
we're
if you
down
hit
nearly
oil?
100 feet. We're down 100 feet, but that's deep. But if you look at the Georgia Hotel that's being renovated across the street, they're down 100 feet. So it's not crazy. You know, it's deep, but it's not crazy.
And it's feasible. And I'm sure they have some magic machine that takes a picture. Well, you would know this, to look under the ground before you start digging, to say, there's so much rock down there, this will cost millions.
No, unfortunately, Vancouver, we're on very good soils in the downtown. You just scrape it. You don't have to do any blasting.
Really?
Yeah. You just
well,
scrape
that's good to know.
It's very good soil for excavation.
So the entrance to the building now, as you know, because you were the project manager in Robson Square, when you walk across from Robson Square, you go into the art gallery, or you demonstrate on the steps,
right?
Yes.
Whatever you prefer.
Yes.
Will they open, or
we'll
if
open
this
everything.
Works,
right
open
now,
all
the main
the
door is closed. Right now, if you're on the Georgia Street side, you can't get into the art gallery. You have to come around the side. That was the problem because art galleries have security issues, and they want to take the tickets at the one point. Concert halls are different. You can take tickets at all the different doors when you come into the room itself.
Sure.
The lobby can be totally open. So now, the way I see it is that we would turn that courthouse almost like a sieve, you know? Every opening I can open, I would open.
How lovely.
People would just flow right through. It's like a big train station, in my
view. And it's the heart of the city.
That's correct.
Really?
Yeah, the only problem Bing has is he thinks the square is really beautiful right now, and he thinks maybe he could maybe improve it.
Well, Arthur Erickson helped, but
no, the front of the courthouse
we're
is a
going to
mess.
fix that square. It's a mess.
The front of the courthouse is a mess, right? I mean, look at it now. You go there, it's just, you know, garbage everywhere,
trucks
unkept,
parked
nobody,
everywhere.
you know,
I know.
it's not.
So it will all flow.
It will all flow. Beautiful.
Right up the front steps into the gallery lobby, which becomes the new concert hall lobby.
See, it sounds so exciting. I know it hasn't passed yet, and if it does come to be, what year are we looking at?
Well, I think 2017 is Canada's 150th birthday.
Okay.
What a better occasion to celebrate that.
Yeah, happy birthday,
But
Canada.
that would be the beginning of construction.
The beginning of construction. Okay, so we have a few years to think about this. Chris Wootten and Bing Thom, our guests, will come back.